Now, you've probably clicked on this Wizard 101 video and you're like, wow, this is such a clickbaity title. The Future of Wizard 101 ellipses or something along those lines? Well, yes, but actually, yes, it is very clickbaity. Today, I'm going to be going over some changes I'd like to see in Wizard 101 in the future, some update ideas, and possible future directions for King's Isle. I've been talking about this, of course, in my Let's Play series a few times, but before I get into it, make sure to smash that sub button with your thick cock. Do that. I hope I lost at least 2 subscribers from that self-plug. I want at least 2 to go down from this. Now, anyways, I'm gonna get right into it. I have a list here of changes that I would love to see in Wizard 101, based on past changes that they've made and based on what I think would work incredibly well. So, the first one I have written down is a Crocotopia remodel and redo. So the reason why I say that is because Wizard City, as most of you and probably all of you know, was remodeled in 2018 to 2020. Basically, they redid all the textures, redid a lot of the quests, and completely changed Wizard City as we know it. Now, what I'm saying here is that Crocotopia does not have much better textures than Wizard City did. It actually, the textures are about equivalent, and it could use some much needed changes. So I'm going to get started right now what I want to see with a Crocotopia change. So first, I want a remodeling of all the textures, specifically the sand texture. I feel like the sand texture is probably the worst of it. It just looks so like flat and kind of gross and boring looking. I don't mind it, but it could definitely use some changes. Second thing, this is actually one of the most important things. I want teleporters. I want teleporters made for Crocotopia, because Crocotopia, fun fact, is the only world in this entire game that does not have teleporters in it. You can fact check me on that, but I know it's true, is that everywhere else, all of Arc 1 besides Crocotopia now has teleporters. Wizard City didn't, but now they do. You know, Grizzleheim, everything after that, it has teleporters. Crocotopia does not. What's the next thing I had written down? Okay, so when talking about remakes, specifically the Wizard City remake, the first thing that comes to your mind is probably the changed quests, the added enemies, and stuff like that. Now, what I say they should do for Crocotopia, and I think this would be a decent change, would be possibly reworking the quests. Not a lot, especially in the beginning. A lot of the quests are already really good, but the only thing I can think of to add is adding more in the Pyramid of Sun, and this is especially a thing, is make there be more, more quests in the Tomb of Storms that are main quests. So basically, if you haven't gotten to Crocotopia yet, which I'm sure most of you have, is you come in here after beating the Crocosphinx, you talk to him, you have to beat a king in this tomb, a king in this tomb, you go to the Karen Barracks, and then you beat 4 princes, and then you do the Temple of Storms. Now that is incredibly boring in my opinion. It's not boring, but it's just like a lot of boss fights and that's it. What I think they should do is add a short quest line where you have to do basically what the side quests do, I believe, which is rekindle these rival tombs. I think like this one, you restore some lost spirits, same with this one. I think that would be cool to incorporate into the main quest, would lengthen it a little bit, and then the Karanan Barracks, just add something like freeing the charm slaves in there, doing some of the bosses. I think that all of those things would be incredibly fair changes and would make Crocotopia not only a better world, but an expanded world that, if you think about XP wise, that would probably push the bar up a little bit. What I would recommend is putting the bar at 25. That level 25 at the end of Crocotopia is good. That's always where I am when I do side quests, and doing it with main quests is fine. And the reason why a lot of the changes that are XP, why they don't unbalance the game, I'm going to go into with the next point I make. So the next point I really want to make, and the next thing I would like to see added, is another side world. We have Grizzleheim, Wintertusk, and Wisteria. Those are the only side worlds in this entire game. Now, Grizzleheim is really disappointing because it gives literally no XP. Obviously, you need to do it to do Wintertusk, which gives a massive amount of XP, Wintertusk is one of the most important worlds to do. Wisteria gives a semi-decent amount of XP. You gain about 2 to 3 levels from it. I would say that they should add another side world in between the levels of 40 and 60 that gives semi-decent XP to the point where you gain about 2 or 3 levels, similar to Wisteria. The reason why I say this is because I feel like there's definitely some much needed flavor to be added to Arc 1, because Arc 1 has been the same for a very long time. They added Wintertusk, or sorry, not Wintertusk, they added Wisteria, but that was back in 2011, I believe. So it's been 9 years since Arc 1 has been touched in regards to worlds. I think that they should add a level 45 unlocked side world that has some kind of, obviously I can't recommend what theme it would have, but I want a world that increases your level while also kind of adding some flavor to the beginning of the game. So the next change I want to go over is something that they're already starting and I want to see more of in the future, and that is a complete remodel of Arc 1. Now, there are worlds that need it specifically more than others. Those worlds being Crocotopia, Marleybone, and Dragonspire. I feel like Mushu already has pretty good textures, actually. For some reason, Marleybone just comparatively Mushu feels comparatively better than Dragonspire and Marleybone. But like one thing I just want to look at is like, look at the resolution on the stone on the ground. Like the water's actually decent. Like this bamboo could definitely be improved. Stuff like that I feel like need to be reworked by KingsIsle, and they're already started that with Wizard City. Wizard City changes look amazing. What I want specifically beyond a Crocotopia one is I want Marleybone and Dragonspire to be done, because Dragonspire in particular actually looks pretty bad when you look at it. Like the rocks look low res and gross. The lava texture just doesn't look good. Like water looks so much better than lava does, and I think that is a necessary change, especially because Dragonspire is the most important world in Arc 1, just because you need to beat Malistaire in it. I think it's really important for them to add a change like that. So the next change I want to bring up is something that is actually, you know, something they've been doing for a little bit, but something I think really is necessary, is adding a huge, and I mean massive, clothing influx to this game, especially at lower levels. So the reason why I say this is because we've been using the exact same gear in Arc 1, right? Because you get gear at level 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, then you get Mount Olympus gear. You don't get more gear until level 45, probably with Barkingham Palace, or level 40, sorry. And then after that, you don't get more gear until Waterworks. It's the same every single time. It's been the same every single time. What they need to add is they need to add more appealing farming spots and gear farming at lower levels. So for example, make the Kraken drop a gear set that is better than every other level 10 gear, but has a low drop rate. So for example, right, the level 10 gear has like an average of what, maybe 4% damage. Let me look. We'll look together right here. Usable level 10. Yeah, it isn't even percent. It's 4. So imagine a gear that gives, like, say 1% power for Storm, 1% power pip, 4% damage, and like 60 health, right? That would be decently balanced. Like it's stronger than any gear you'll find in the bazaar, which it should be, and it's not too strong to the point where you're not going to use any other gear beyond that. And basically you just make it so like level 10 has a gear like that, level 20 has a gear like that, level 30 already has a gear like that, level 40 already has a gear like that, and then make level 50 have a gear, because I shouldn't have to use the same gear for, in my opinion, longer than 10 levels. I don't think that that's interesting. I don't think it's necessary, and I think that almost any other MMO, you change gear much more frequently than Wizard 101. especially in regards to certain things like wands. Wands, you use the same wand from level 30 to level probably 100, honestly. That's what I did. I think my other storm, my max or my level 100 storm, still uses the Skyrim Nahasta at level 110, I think. That's insane. He shouldn't have to use the same level 31 for that long. They need more options, they need more gear. And this is also true from level 70, 80, 90. What I want is a Hades gear buff, because Hades gear is objectively worse than Waterworks. It gives more crit, but it's still worse. And at that point, there's no point even farming Hades, because like Waterworks gear is just actually better, like generally. So that's what I would recommend. What I think is the most important, one of the most important changes to add to Arc 1, and something that I want to see in the future. So this next change is something that they've actually focused on for a little bit, but it's something that I think also is necessary, would be to add a new wave of pets. We've gone over a new wave of gear. I want a new wave of pets. I want more school pets, pets specifically tailored to the schools that are easier to get talents with. So for example, school pets, the level 58 ones, the level 68 ones are actually shit. The chance of you getting a good talent is next to nothing. I'm pretty sure 90% of the time you don't even get a giver, dealer, or any type of damage. And that, in my opinion, is wrong. I think that King's Isle definitely should give out a pet that's like guaranteed to get a damage, potentially guaranteed to get a resist, whether it be to fireproof. And I think that that's important. It will give new players incentive to start training up pets, and it will give a new wave of pets for people to be interested in and start collecting. The next one is something that has been talked about before. It's been talked about 1,000 times by 1,000 different people, and that's more free-to-play content. Now, currently, you can get up to about level 7 free-to-play, and you can get to Triton Avenue, and you can't do Firecat Alley, Cyclops Lane, or Complete Wizard City. That is an issue. Free-to-play, in my opinion, should go until at least the end of Wizard City. Especially, I think that the end of Wizard City is a good place to stop. I disagree with the people that say Crocotopia should also be free. I think that level 10 and First World Completed is a really good place to stop. It reminds me, I don't know if any of you have played this, but Lego Universe, way back in the day, used to, the first area was free to play. You'd get up to about, I think it was level 10. I think it's been so long since I played it because it doesn't exist anymore. And then you cap out and you have to pay to go to the next area. I think that's fair. That's how most MMOs work, is it's pay to play. And I think that the free-to-play content, at the very least, should expand much more than it does, if not a bit more. Because currently, you can't even complete the first world without paying $10 for a membership. I don't think that's fair, I don't think that's right, and I think that they should add more free-to-play options at the very least, if they decide to keep it the same. The last thing I want to talk about is something that King's Isle is already doing. It's already in the works. We all know it's already in the works. But what I want to talk about is new worlds, a new arc, and stuff like that. So for example, or not for example, but if you didn't know, I believe Imperia came out 2 or 3 years ago now at this point, which was the end of Arc 3, if I remember correctly. I actually haven't finished Imperia ever. We had Polaris, Mirage, and Imperia. They were all fantastic. Polaris came out in 2015, and it was a fresh new start and definitely an incentive to keep playing the game after Chrysalis and the ending of Arc 2. Now, what I want is I want an Arc 4, and I want it now. I'm just kidding. So, November of this year, which is 2 months from now currently, there's going to be something announced. There's going to be something released, and in my opinion, that's probably a new world. Every single time there's been a new world that isn't an Arc 2 of a world, it's been released in November, and I think that that now is the time to release a new world when interest is still there. They definitely need to keep interest in the game. What I would recommend, I have a list right here of themes that I would recommend, or like world themes that I would recommend that I think would be the most interesting. So, The Dark Ages of Europe is an interesting time for me. We haven't seen anything like it. It's very much a bleak atmosphere. It's something that I don't think would be the best if you didn't do it right and if you didn't make it interesting. It sounds more like a later Ark world like Imperia or Dragonspire is, where it's going to be more bleak, more barren. Like, for example, the Dark Ages of Europe, if you didn't know, are from, I believe, the fall of the Roman Empire in 400 to about 900 AD, 960, with the formation of the Holy Roman Empire. And now, the Dark Ages weren't actually as bad as many people think. The Dark Ages were just overshadowed by a lack of scientific development, and that's what Dark Ages are. The Dark Age is a lack of scientific development. But I want to see stuff like plagues, different plagues raining down on people, something like that. Some kind of serfdom and like fiefdom system, different nations, stuff like that, potentially. Now, obviously, that might not be the best setting, but there are more that I think definitely are interesting. For example, colonial America. We have not had a colonial America. We've had Polaris, which was French Revolution / Russian Revolution kind of amalgamated into one. And basically, what I think they should do is I think they should have an American Revolution revolting against, like, say the Marleybonians conquered somewhere, and then you have to go against them. I think that would be really sick. I think I would actually love a colonial America world. We haven't had anything like that in the past. I think it would be interesting. You could also bring in Native American type tribes and stuff like that to spice up the world. India, that is something interesting as well. We haven't had that. The closest we've had is probably Mirage with Persia, but I wouldn't say that Mirage is close enough. I definitely want some kind of Indian. This is African, obviously, and Crocotopia is Egyptian, stuff like that. We've had Eastern before in Mushu and stuff, but I definitely want an Indian world. I think the Indian themed world would be interesting. And then finally is the Pirate 101 side of the universe. Skull Island, Monquista, Cool Ranch, those worlds I think would be really interesting to view in Wizard 101. I think they'd be really cool, especially Monquista seems really interesting to me, and I think you know, Valencia also seems interesting. Those type of worlds, I think that those would be really cool and really popular if King's Isle announced them now. So that's basically it from my perspective on the future of Wizard 101, what they should do, what they should change, what new updates are going to come out. If I had to guess, in 2 months, you guys are going to see we're probably getting a new world. Whether it's one of these themes or not, I don't know, but it would be really cool. I also want another feudal world after Avalon, because it's been a while since we've done something like Avalon. The only other update I would like to add, honestly, doesn't even need to be updated. It's just a thing I want to mention. New crown shop and new bundles. Okay, that would be cool. I am a bit tired, though, of constantly getting crown updates with no actual updates. I just think that, you know, we should see more actual game updates than we do. But anyways, if you enjoyed, please drop a like, hit the sub button. Hopefully that if you agree with some of the stuff, have some things to add, leave it in the comment section below. Maybe, you know, if this gets enough attention, maybe a King's Isle dev will see it and they'll be like, whoa, these are actually some really lit ideas, Kaiser Noah. We should implement these. And then they will. And I'll be like, whoa, that's interesting. So, yeah. Hope you had a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.